Whoa, hold up. Before you toss that banana peel or those coffee grounds in the trash, did you know you're throwing away pure gardening gold? Yep, you heard me right. That so-called waste is actually one of the best things you can give back to the earth. And today I'm going to show you exactly how to turn your food scraps into rich, healthy compost that will make your garden thrive. Spring is the perfect time to start composting. Why? Because everything is waking up: plants, worms, microbes, and even your soil. This means your compost pile will break down faster, and you'll have nutrient-rich fertilizer ready just in time for planting season. If you've ever thought about composting but felt overwhelmed or weren't sure where to start, this video is for you. Whether you live in an apartment, have a tiny backyard, or a big garden, there's a way to compost that works for you. And don't worry, I'll show you how to do it without the stink, without the mess, and without attracting any unwanted critters. Because let's be honest, no one wants their backyard turning into a raccoon buffet. Now, before we dive into the how, let's talk about the why. Why should you compost? Simple, it reduces waste. The average person throws away about 180 pounds of food scraps per year. That's a lot of waste going to landfills when it could be feeding your garden instead. It saves you money. Instead of buying chemical fertilizers, you're making your own nutrient-rich soil booster for free. It helps the environment. Food waste in landfills releases methane, a powerful greenhouse gas. Composting cuts that down and helps fight climate change. It makes your soil healthier. Compost improves soil structure, boosts water retention, and helps plants grow stronger and more resilient. Basically, it's plant superfood. And here's the kicker. Composting is way easier than people think. You don't need fancy equipment, you don't need a science degree, and you definitely don't need a ton of space. If you can dump scraps in a bin and mix them every now and then, you're good to go. Plus, it's kind of fun. Watching waste turn into something useful feels like magic. One day, it's a pile of kitchen scraps. Next thing you know, it's dark, rich compost that smells like fresh earth and makes plants go wild. And get this, you don't even have to wait months to see results. With the right setup, you can get usable compost in as little as a few weeks. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll have the ultimate composting setup that's cheap, easy, and totally beginner-friendly. Alright, let's get into the good stuff. What can you compost and what should you never put in your pile? Let's break it down. Alright, now that you know why composting is awesome, let's talk about what actually goes in your compost bin. Because trust me, getting this part right is key to making sure your compost breaks down properly and doesn't turn into a stinky, slimy mess. So, the golden rule of composting? You need a balance of greens and browns. What are greens and browns? Greens are your wet, nitrogen-rich materials. These break down quickly and provide nutrients that fuel the composting process. Think of them as the energy of your compost pile. Browns are your dry, carbon-rich materials. They help absorb excess moisture, prevent odor, and create airflow in the pile. Without browns, compost gets soggy and gross. Examples of greens, or nitrogen-rich materials: fruit and veggie scraps like banana peels, apple cores, and carrot tops. Coffee grounds, and yes, even the coffee filter. Tea bags, but make sure they're compostable, no plastic mesh. Grass clippings, fresh leaves, plant trimmings, and eggshells. Eggshells aren't technically nitrogen, but they're still great for compost. Examples of browns, or carbon-rich materials: dry leaves, shredded cardboard, just avoid glossy or colored prints. Newspaper, but stick to black and white print. Paper towels and napkins as long as they're not greasy. Sawdust from untreated wood, straw or hay, and twigs and small branches. Now, let's clear up some common composting myths right away. Composting myths, busted. You can't compost citrus peels or onion scraps? False, you totally can. They take a little longer to break down, but they're completely fine to add. Just chop them up small. Dairy and meat can go in the compost. Technically yes, but not recommended unless you're an advanced composter. They break down super slow and attract pests. You need a special compost starter. Nope. If you have a good balance of greens and browns, compost will start on its own. Microbes are everywhere. They'll do the work for you. Compost smells bad. Not if you're doing it right. A well-balanced compost pile smells like earthy, fresh soil. Bad smells happen if there's too much green and not enough brown. The perfect balance. So, how much of each do you need? A general rule is 2 to 3 parts brown for every 1 part green. That means if you dump in a bunch of food scraps, which are greens, you should cover them with shredded paper, dried leaves, or cardboard, which are browns. And if your compost pile smells bad, it probably has too much green. Just add more browns. If it's not breaking down, it might be too dry. Sprinkle in some water and mix it up. Now that you know what to compost, let's get into how to set up your compost bin for the best results. Alright, now that you know what to compost, let's set up your compost bin. The good news? You don't need anything fancy. Whether you have a big backyard or live in a tiny apartment, there's a composting method for you. Choosing your compost bin. There are a few ways you can compost, depending on how much space you have and how hands-on you want to be. First, open pile, which is best for large yards. If you've got the space, a simple compost pile in the corner of your yard is the easiest method. Just stack up your greens and browns, turn the pile occasionally, and let nature do its thing. Downside? It can get messy, and animals might show up. Second, compost bin, which is best for backyards and small spaces. A basic compost bin keeps everything contained while still allowing airflow. You can buy one or DIY your own using an old trash can or wooden pallets. Just make sure it has some ventilation. Compost needs oxygen to break down properly. Compost tumbler, best for faster composting. If you want quick results, a compost tumbler is a game changer. These bins are sealed, off the ground, and you just spin them to mix everything up. Bonus, they keep rodents out, speed up the breakdown process, and require minimal effort. Worm bin, best for apartments and small spaces. No backyard? No problem. Worm composting, also known as vermicomposting, is perfect for small spaces. All you need is a ventilated bin, some shredded paper, and a few hundred red wiggler worms. They eat your food scraps and turn them into nutrient-rich worm castings, aka the best fertilizer ever. Bonus, worm composting doesn't smell at all. Where to put your compost bin? Placement is key for good composting. You want a spot that's partially sunny. A little warmth helps speed up decomposition. And of course, easy to access. If it's too far away, you won't use it as much. Well drained. Too much rain can make compost soggy and slow things down. If you're using a tumbler or bin, put it on a flat, stable surface. If you have an open pile, choose a bare soil spot so worms and microbes can move in and help break things down faster. How to start your compost pile. Layer it up. Start with a base of browns like dry leaves, shredded paper, or straw to absorb moisture, and keep airflow going. Add greens. Throw in your food scraps, coffee grounds, and fresh plant waste. Cover with browns. Always top off with browns to keep flies and smells away. Mix occasionally. Every couple of weeks, give it a stir with a pitchfork or shovel to aerate and speed up decomposition. The secret to faster compost is simple. Turn it every 1 to 2 weeks. More oxygen means faster breakdown. And keep it moist, but not soggy. Think of a damp sponge texture. Balance greens and browns. Got too much green? Add dry leaves or paper. Too dry? Just add some water. Now that your bin is set up, let's talk about the most exciting part: harvesting and using your compost. Alright, you've been adding your greens and browns, turning your compost, and keeping it at just the right moisture level. Now comes the best part: harvesting your finished compost. So how do you know when your compost is ready? Here's what to look for: dark, rich, soil-like texture. It should look like fresh garden soil, not like food scraps. Earthy smell. If it smells like damp forest soil, you nailed it. If it stinks, it might still need more time. No recognizable food bits. Everything should be fully broken down. If you still see big chunks of avocado pits or corn cobs, they need longer to decompose, or you can pick them out and throw them back in. How long does compost take? If you're turning your compost regularly and keeping a good balance, you can get finished compost in 2 to 3 months. If you're doing the lazy method, just letting it sit, it can take 6 to 12 months to fully break down. Once your compost is ready, it's time to harvest. If you have an open pile or bin, just scoop the finished compost from the bottom. If you're using a compost tumbler, Dump it out and sift through it to remove any unfinished bits. What to do with unfinished compost? No worries. If some pieces aren't fully broken down, just throw them back into your compost pile for another round. Things like eggshells, avocado pits, and big branches naturally take longer to decompose. Now let's talk about how to use your compost, because trust me, your plants are about to love you. How to use your compost. Mix it into garden beds. Spread 1 to 2 inches of compost over your soil and mix it in before planting. It gives your soil a nutrient boost and helps retain moisture. Top dress your plants. Already have plants growing? Sprinkle compost around the base of your flowers, veggies, or trees. The nutrients will slowly release as you water. Make compost tea. Yep, you can brew your compost. Just soak a shovel full of compost in a bucket of water for 24 to 48 hours. Strain it and use the liquid to water your plants. It's like a natural energy drink for them. Use it for your lawn. Want greener, healthier grass? Sprinkle a thin layer of compost over your lawn and water it in. It helps improve soil health and prevents thatch buildup. Revive potted plants. If your houseplants or container garden are looking a little sad, mix in some compost to refresh their soil and boost nutrients. Extra tips for success. Store extra compost in a covered bin. It'll stay fresh until you're ready to use it. Use unfinished compost as mulch. If your compost isn't 100% ready, spread it around trees and shrubs as mulch. It'll continue breaking down over time. Avoid overloading with compost. More isn't always better. Too much compost can make soil too dense. Stick to a 1 to 2 inch layer for best results. And that's it. You've successfully turned food scraps into rich, nutritious garden gold, all while reducing waste and helping the planet. If you made it this far, drop a sprout emoji in the comments and let me know, what's the first thing you're going to use your compost on? Don't forget to like and subscribe for more gardening tips. Happy composting!